has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the moment of time, to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies. For in this hope we were saved. But hope that is seen is no hope at all. Who hopes for what he already has? But if we hope, but if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently. The word of God for the people of God.
Sometimes, actually, quite often, we read and perceive the world with blinders on. We see only what's in front of us. We see only what we want to see. And everything that's in that outside those blinders, we pay absolutely no attention to. But what we see and what we hear is important to us. And this part of Romans 8, Paul is taking this one step further. Now, at the end of last week's reading, he talked about if we suffer with Christ, we're glorified with Christ. And we talked about that suffering was not arthritis or anything else like that. It's following Jesus. You know, this is Paul's version to take up your cross and follow Jesus. The New Testament writers always talk about the attendant problems of being a Christian in a pagan world. Notice how he begins this next paragraph. The present suffering is nothing compared to the coming glory that is to be revealed in us. He says this a little differently in 2 Corinthians. He says this momentary slight affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all measure. Yes, sometimes we have trouble in this life. But compared to what's going to be, it's momentary and it's slight. It may feel like anything but momentary and slight. But in view of eternity, the glory that's to be revealed, and not just way out off in the future, he's been talking all along in this chapter about what's going on in our lives right now. We have the Spirit that brings to us the life of Christ. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is living within us. So we already have the first fruits, as Paul would say, of that new life living within us. Now, for Paul, this wasn't pie in the sky. We all know what pie in the sky is. We know people who are so heavenly minded and no earthly good. We have this pie in the sky mentality. But this wasn't just pie in the sky for Paul. As I said, it was a present, ongoing reality. And part of the blinder problem that we have is that we think that salvation pertains only to us human beings. It's only a human issue. But this chapter tells us that that's not the case. Salvation is not just about humanity. Of course it is, but that's not all there is to it. Too many of us think salvation means going to heaven when we die. Well, yeah, but that's a small part of what true salvation really means. It does not only affect us. Paul says that the entirety of creation is waiting for the revealing of the sons and the daughters of God. Verse 20 talks about the whole creation being subjected to futility or frustration, but not of its own choice. So who subjected it to futility and frustration? Well, that's an ongoing debate. You read commentaries, you're going to find answers all over the spectrum. Some believe that it was Adam that subjected the world to frustration because of what he and Eve did on that fateful day. Some say it was the devil who subjected the earth to frustration and futility. But the more I study this, the more I come to be convinced that the one who subjected it to futility and frustration is God. He cursed the ground because of what Adam did. But notice it doesn't stop there. Too often we stop at a period, or we stop where we think there should be a period, and we don't read the next line, or we stop at the comma and we don't finish it. Notice it says that he who subjected creation to futility, he did so in hope. Adam can't give you hope. The devil's certainly not going to give you hope. God, in subjecting the world to frustration, he did so in hope that all of creation will be redeemed, not just the human person. He says, all creation groans, and we ourselves who have the Spirit as the first fruit of the harvest groan also, as we await our bodies to be set free. You know, it's easy to get into a gloom and doom mentality. You listen to a lot of sermons. If you don't feel like killing yourself before, you probably do after some of them. I mean, it's all just doom and gloom. Woe is me. But you know something? Even if the world has been subjected to futility and frustration, it was done so in hope that there is a better day coming. There is a renewal of all creation. We think it's our duty to escape this world. That's Stoic philosophy. That's not Christian theology. That's Stoicism. We need to escape this rotten, dirty, evil world. And the consistent witness of the New Testament is what we conceive as this dirty, rotten world was created by God, and he is going to renew not just us, but the entirety of creation. You know, sometimes I think we forget there's an important word in this chapter, and it's the word hope. And that's a word that we don't use a lot in a lot of Christian works because we think it means something negative. It has a negative connotation to it. Well, I hope it doesn't rain today, meaning it probably will. There's a famous picnic story, and it rained in spite of the hope it wouldn't. That's how we use the word. But that's not the way the word is used in the New Testament. In the New Testament, hope is looking forward to something with confidence, knowing that it will be fulfilled. Looking forward to something with expectation. There's a German theologian, Jürgen Moltmann. He says, hope is nothing less than the expectation of those things which faith has believed to have been truly promised by God. Thus, faith believes God to be true. Hope awaits the time when this truth shall be manifested. Hope is that expectation that all of God's promises will come true. While we live in this world of futility and frustration, it is not consigned to that. We can't see the outcome, but we know the outcome is coming because it has been promised by God. All of creation, he says, is waiting. Paul uses a word here that you have to have a little bit of imagination for. When he talks about the creation groaning in anticipation. It's an interesting word. The Common English Bible uses the word anticipation. The New Revised Standard says, eager longing. And what Paul has done, he's personified creation. He's talking about creation as if it's a person. And he says all of creation is eagerly awaiting the revelation of the sons and the daughters of God. I want to read from a paraphrase. Paraphrase Bibles are interesting. One of the best ones that's ever done, in my opinion, was done in the 50s by a British guy named J.B. Phillips. And I love what J.B. Phillips, how he paraphrases this part of Romans. The whole creation is on tiptoe to see the wonderful sight of the sons of God coming into their own. The world of creation cannot yet see reality, not because it chooses to be blind, but because God's purpose in it has been so limited. Yet it has been given in hope. Think about that. All creation is standing on its tippy toes. Think about when you went to a parade, when you was a tyke, and you stood behind a guy that was 6'4". What'd you do? You went this way. You went that way. You stood on your tiptoes. You climbed on. You wanted to see the parade. You had this eager expectation. Well, Paul says, personifying creation, all creation is standing on its tiptoes, waiting for the revelation of the sons and daughters of God. You see, when salvation comes to us, it comes to the entire cosmos. The entire cosmos is going to be renewed. You know, a lot of us have the idea that when Jesus comes, the earth, the stars, the planets are going to be wadded up and thrown away. Paul says all creation is going to be renewed. It's not going to be destroyed. It's going to be renewed. And that happens when the sons and daughters of God are finally revealed. When salvation comes to us totally, it comes to all creation. I think that's a powerful statement. Back in the 30s, there were two German theologians, Emil Brunner and Karl Barth, who were arguing over natural revelation. Is there such a thing as natural revelation? And Brunner said, no. Barth said, yes. Well, they're talking about just the glory of creation. Paul says even creation can help us to know a little bit about God. God didn't create this beautiful world. Remember at the end of Genesis, God saw all that he made, and behold, it was very good. I can see Rembrandt looking at that picture, and oh, that's good. God looked at his creation. Oh, that's really good. That's awesome. Is he going to wad it up and throw it away? No. All creation will be renewed. You know, growing up in the 70s, I heard a lot of weird things in church. I heard a lot of Christians say, you know, we don't have to worry about the environment. Jesus is going to come and take us away from all this. And I thought, well, don't you want your kids having clean water and air that won't kill them? Don't you want your grandkids to have clean water and fresh air? You know, we've been saying Jesus is coming for 2,000 years. Don't take this the wrong way, but he ain't here yet. And until he gets here, we have to take care of this world. It's our Garden of Eden, you could say. And we've done a pretty poor job at it. God's not going to throw this world away, even though we've run it. He's going to renew it from the ground up. God's creation is God's creation. We've been put in charge of it. We've done a pretty poor job. I was asked one time, are there going to be animals in heaven? Who said, of course? Yeah, of course. Another person in that conversation said, well, the word says there will be. And I said, it doesn't say, he said, the word doesn't say there will be. And I said, it doesn't say there won't be. I certainly hope there are. Animals are important. If you don't believe me, ask me about my dog. I'll tell you all about that. Okay? I love my dog. I'm not saying every animal that's ever lived will be there, but I think there will be animals there. I'm hoping the pets that we've loved over the years will be there. Why? Because they're part of God's creation. And all is going to be renewed. I would love to be able to walk with an elephant. It's my favorite animal of everything that's been created. I love elephants. They're smart. They're just fascinating. I hope there's elephants in heaven. Because I want to ride one. Even though that's not politically correct now. According to this part of Romans 8, salvation isn't just for humans. It's for all of God's creation. When the sons and daughters of God are revealed in all of your glory, Paul says all creation is waiting for that moment. Consistently in the Old Testament and the New Testament, there's creation and recreation. God is going to renew the earth. God is going to renew the heavens. And all will be free from sin and death. Because God has redeemed his sons and daughters. And he will redeem his creation. I love this chapter. I love this part of that chapter. God's not going to throw it away. He's going to renew it. And I don't know about you, but that means an awful lot. We live in hope. Hope is that expectation that God's promises will become true. And in that hope, we live confidently that when the sons and daughters of God are revealed, all creation is renewed. And life will be as it was intended. In a new creation, where God reigns supreme. And there's no fear, there's no death, there's no sin. Because all has been made. And like creation, we stand on our tippy toes, waiting for that time. Thanks be to God. Let's pray.